As you can see, I have a new microphone. Let me know if you can hear it, if it's scraping against my hair. Let me just adjust it so that it's not doing that, actually. It's a pretty cool little microphone. I have Amazon Prime, so thanks to that, I was able to order it quite last minute. It came on the same day, so thank you, Amazon Prime. Before I actually got started with this video, I wanted to say that thank you for the criticism. I really appreciate the criticism. Sorry, I didn't say that perfectly before, but I genuinely really appreciate it when you give me criticism. The only thing is that when you ask me for better sound quality, better image quality, like I said in one of my tweets, I'm pretty desensitized to it because I grew up, first of all, watching VHS tapes, you know, Indian movies, for example, and recorded cartoons and stuff. But then later on, as my family progressively got more religious, I would just download movies and watch them on my phone. So I'm not exactly the best person to judge quality. So I would really appreciate you telling me things like that. But in addition to that, if I am to update my hardware, like my camera or my microphone or whatever else I might need, like a headset or a tripod or whatever, I don't have the money for that. I'm a student. I'm a full-time working student. It's been crazy this whole month because I have an end of module assignment to hand in, and then I have another assignment that's not quite end of module but pretty serious. I work 5 days a week, you know, I have a lot of things going on, and this is like something I do for pleasure. And that's not to say that I won't update things as I go along. I just don't have the money for it sometimes. This microphone was fairly cheap, which is why I'm asking you to review it, to see if it's worth it. If it's not, you know, let me know. And I'll stop using it, I'll return it, I still have the boxes and stuff. But this is like my sly way of telling you that if you would like to support me in some way, you are welcome to. I'll leave like a PayPal link down below, but I by no means am asking you to support me if you don't have any money to support me. You definitely are not obliged to support me at any point. I don't have a Patreon or anything. I really want to do this for pleasure. I will only accept things like this if you have a request or if you want me to update my technology in some way. I know that for the Out of the Fold podcast we have a GoFundMe going. I can't remember the link to that, but once I find it I will put it up here. We have a GoFundMe going for new materials and stuff because at the moment, as you may have observed, I and Cole are not from the same country, so we're doing a lot of Skype calling, and sometimes that fucks up the recordings and stuff. So it's not the highest standard it could be, which is why we're doing the fundraiser. And you are by no means, you know, it's not necessary for you to fund that. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for the feedback, and if you have any more, please feel free to share it. As you can see, I'm not exactly at my peak of looking great. I have my hair is doing whatever it wants. It was raining this morning. It is so dry and it needs to be moisturized. Look, like if you can see that, these are all the split ends in it. This is like my pajama top. It is so late. This month has been so busy, and it's going to get busier. London Comic Con is coming up and I really want to go to that. So many movies are coming out this month and I really want to see them in the theater, in the cinema. I've already seen 2 and there are others coming out this month. My friend's birthday is coming up. I have events to go to that are not strictly like ex-Muslim events that I would like to vlog. Comic-Con is one of those events that I would like to vlog, but there are also other events. I would like to do some cooking videos this month, seeing that it's Ramadan. But you know, it's just been a really busy month. On top of that, I have assignments. On top of that, I have work, and it's just been a lot. So please forgive this. I want to do a very relaxed video this week, considering that last week I was just crying for 10 minutes. More or less, and I wanted to give you, how many tips is this? About 12 top excuses for sabotaging a potential arranged marriage proposal. Now, before I get into them, before I actually give you the sabotages, I would like to say that if you can talk to your parents about it, if they will understand, please do talk to them. That is the best way of getting out of an arranged marriage. If you can talk to your parents, if you can talk to either your mother or your father and they will understand that you do not want an arranged marriage, please do that first. And I would also like to say, as a disclaimer, that these excuses I have not personally used, but have thought about a lot. A couple of them I have used, but not all of them. And if I will give guidance alongside, but just be aware that I'm not saying that you should use these. They're just suggestions. They are not foolproof. Please do consider your steps carefully, because I don't want to make anybody's like arranged marriage situation even worse. Because some of them can go that way, and you just need to like really think about it before you go into that. So the first one, and I think the best one that you can use if you are even asked, because for me, I wasn't even asked if I wanted to get married. I was just assumed, that I was going to get married. I never said yes or no. People just assumed until I said no, and then it was a problem. But if that distinction is clear, the best way of getting out of an arranged marriage, from my experience, is to, perform istikhara, which is like a prayer you do, really just to ask Allah for guidance. But a lot of people do it around arranged marriages because that seems like a really big thing. So this istikhara is supposed to like give you a sign or give you a dream to tell you whether or not this decision is a good thing. So you can potentially go ahead and say, oh, I performed my istikhara and I had this terrible dream, like he was wreathed in fire, and I really, really don't think it's a good idea to get married to him. The only sort of downside to this one is that there is a very long dua or a prayer that you have to do, and you might get tested on that prayer. Unless, I don't know, it's a really complicated prayer. I personally never learnt it myself because, like I said, I was never really given a choice. It was just assumed I was going to get married. But that is something that, might be a flaw in your plan if you're going to be tested on that. But I would suggest you look it up, and it's a pretty good method of, warding off people you don't want to get married to. I had a bad dream about them. It's a sign from God, If you are allowed to, I'm aware that, and this is the second excuse, if you're allowed to, because I was allowed to talk to my suitor, that's what we're going to call him. I was allowed to talk to my suitor as long as someone was supervising me. It would usually be like a relative who didn't understand English, like my grandma or one of my uncles, because my family wanted to give me privacy whilst not giving me I don't know. But something that you could possibly do, if you are up for it, is talk to your suitor one-to-one and explain to them that you really do not want to get married. And if you just be open and honest, and, hopefully they'll understand, and say things like, oh, I can't say no, my family's not giving me a choice. Really, really make them pity you. I feel like that would be a good way of getting out of it. Third excuse is to be an absolute dick, like embarrass yourself in front of them. Embarrass yourself in front of these people, and I feel like that would give you a good enough excuse for them not to marry you. And I mean, like, be rude, be unruly, ask really personal questions, piss them off a little bit. Now, I understand that most people who get these suitors don't really know them, but if you do use that information against them, Facebook them from beforehand, like dig up some shit and ask them about it, behave like a dick, make them hate you before they're even thinking about getting married to you. The fourth excuse is kind of similar, is just be a weirdo. Like, fixate on one thing and then just go with it. Like, talk about your obsession with fingernails or something. Like, really weird and obscure, just be a complete weirdo. The risk factor with this is if the guy is a weirdo about the same thing. I would say, to make it more real, be a weirdo about something that's real and like you're actually like fixated on. Like, for me, I'm obsessed with everything nerdy. I'm obsessed with Lord of the Rings. I'm obsessed with Game of Thrones. I'm obsessed with all that stuff. So I would fixate on something like that, and that kind of thing would play in my favor because there's like magic and stuff in it. But the only problem would be if the guy is also into that thing. So you really have to gauge the kind of person you're talking to. But yeah, I feel like if you were a weirdo, I think I definitely was. Like, we had a bookshelf in my house that had like all these Islamic books, and one of the suitors who came to see me, he was like in his 30s, I was like 18. We had this bookshelf, and I said to the guy, like, I don't like doing anything but reading. I've read this entire bookshelf, and I swear to you, he was terrified. He was like, what the hell are you talking about? And like, we're not talking about like fictional books that everybody picks up and reads. We're talking like books that still have words like thee and thy and thou in them. Like, they are old books. And I guess that he just wasn't into it. So yeah, that could be a way to get out of marriage. Another excuse or another way out is to talk about money. Talk about money. if there's anything that men are insecure about, especially like really chauvinistic, like pretending to be manly mama's boys, the one thing that they are really, really, really sensitive about is money. Talk about it. Ask him about his job. Ask him about his yearly wage. You know, can you support a family of 6? Because I want 6 kids. Are we going to have our own house? Do you have your own house? Do you have your own car? Am I getting a car? Are you teaching me to drive? You know, bring out the whole 9. Like, really play it on the money card. It's worked for me. I've definitely scared a few guys off by asking about them, you know, the support they'll give me as me being their wife. And this was me when I actually like thought I wanted to get married when I was a Muslim. I would ask questions like that and it would scare guys off. So if it can work even as a devout Muslim, I'm pretty sure it can work as, you know, someone who isn't, you know, doesn't want to get married at all. The next thing is it's a risky attempt. So it's to appear like really committed instantly, like super committed, like love at first sight, like act as though you've met your soulmate and really act like you want to go with your head like right in. You just want to dive into this like relationship, like talk about how beautiful your kids will be, how many kids you'll have, like just really, really act crazy, insane fucking committed. This can go 2 ways. If the guy has a few screws loose, he might buy it and think you're serious and marry you. If the guy has any grain of, you know, responsibility or, you know, has any kind of realistic thoughts, he'll walk away because he doesn't want to get into that mine. Because remember, I mean, I'm more or less giving you from a girl's perspective. I've just realized that now. I don't have too many like excuses that guys could give. More or less, guys have more of a choice in this than girls do, which is why I'm making this video. But yeah, it really depends how you read the guy. You really have to read the guy before you play that card because that can go either way. So be careful with that one. Next one is you just act super disappointed. Super disappointed with who you're seeing because your expectations were like really high, like up here, and your expectations are now under the ground. Like your reality, sorry, is like under the ground now. So act as though you were expecting like Chris Hemsworth, like Hugh Jackman, like you were expecting someone who was just your perfect guy, and he's just not. He's everything that you didn't want. You just act super disappointed the entire time. Don't make eye contact. Reply with 1-word answers. You're good to go. You hate the guy. He hates you. It's all good. Next one is be a bridezilla without even like anything being agreed to. Like talk about the wedding. Talk about the wedding. I'm going to have this many people. This is my dress color. This is my dress size. This is how much gold I want. This is what I want to come in with. I want a flying horse and some fucking peanuts on the table. When I walk in, I want you to throw all the peanuts and I want there to be elephants to pick up all the peanuts. Like, I'm sorry, I'm hungry. Talk about the wedding. Be a bridezilla before anything is agreed to. You will scare him off. Next one is piss off the potential in-laws. If you can't get to the husband, like the suitor, sorry, if you can't get to the guy, get to the in-laws. Stick it to the in-laws. Piss off the in-laws. Because if there is anyone that a clingy, like, dependent, mama issues boy is going to listen to, if there's anyone, it's his mum. The mum is the one you want to piss off so that he doesn't marry you. It is more or less the Hail Mary attempt because you don't want anybody to hate you. But if you are desperate to get out of this marriage, that is the one you want to go for. You want to piss off the mom somehow. I'm not saying attack her or nothing. Please don't take that out of context. But piss her off. Like, piss her off. Accidentally admit you have a really big problem. Act like you don't know what's going on. Like you don't know that this is like a marriage proposal, or act like you're a lot younger than you actually are, or act like you have like a problem of understanding things, like you're in some way incapacitated. Act like you really don't know what's going on, or act like this wasn't meant to happen, or you just aren't meant to be there, or you were tricked into being there. You know what I'm saying? Act like you didn't know that this was happening. And a good way to do that is, especially if you're allowed to choose what you're wearing and how you look like before you walk in. And in a lot of families, they don't let you do that, but in the circumstance that they do, because for me, I wasn't allowed to do that. People would doll me up before I went to see people, and it was really stupid. But in the instance that you were allowed, you just dress like how you dress at home. Like, you're just chilling out, you're ready to watch a movie and eat some Cheetos. Like, act like you did not know you were getting proposed to. If you can stand the yelling afterwards by a family and your parents, do it. Because that'll put them off instantly. Have really unrealistic expectations for your suitor. Like, it's kind of similar to the one where I was like, you're just super disappointed, but also walk in and have all these demands. Like, you want this much, you know, you want things in order to get married. You want your family to have things. You want to bring, you know, you want to have dogs in the house. Like, dogs is a big thing on its own. But anyways, you want your husband to have his own house when he's clearly living in his mum's basement still. You know, you want to kick all of his sisters out. Have unrealistic expectations for your suitor. They will hate you. And the last one, which was given to me by Zara K, actually, was behave independent. Every single guy who was proposed to me, and I have been proposed to since I was 15, and my first suitor was 11 years older than me. He was 26. Every single proposal I have gone through, I have been told that I would not need to work, and that covertly means that I'm not going to work while I was married to him. If you act independent, I am certain that you will get rid of a lot of guys. You will completely thin the herd, because there's so many guys who are just out here looking for a slave. So behave independently, know who you are, especially even if you want an arranged marriage, okay? Even if you want this and you're happy to be set up with people, be yourself. If you're an independent woman and you want to live that independent woman life, be a boss, whatever, drive your car wherever you want to go without having to text somebody every 5 minutes, be that person. Because you don't want to end up with the wrong guy who's going to lock you up in the house and expect you to cook biryani for him every night, okay? But yeah, those are my 12 sabotage tips for how you can get out of a terrible marriage. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the new mic. Let me know if you have any ideas for following videos or props or things that you want me to do. I do not take porn requests, so you can put that in the bin right now. I also don't really take foot requests, so you can put that in the bin also. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry to leave on that note, and I hope you found my sabotage ideas helpful. I will see you in the next one. Thank you, and goodbye.